everyone, me again. So I'm looking a little bit weird. As you can see, I've got two completely different eye looks, and that's because I'm kind of trying out a new idea today. It's not like an original thing. I've seen other YouTubers do this before, but this is the first time that I've tried something like this myself, and I'm hoping that this could kind of become a series possibly if you like it. Basically, I'm just going to be taking an eyeshadow palette and showing you two different looks of it on either eye. One will be for daytime and one will be more for evening. So today I'm going to be using this palette from I Heart Revolution. This is one of their chocolate bar palettes, and this one is 24K Gold. As you can see, we've got some really beautiful colours in here. I was definitely spoilt for choice. We've got a lot of really beautiful kind of jewel tones, so I thought that this palette would be a really nice one to start off this series with. So now I'm going to come a little bit closer and show you how I got both of these looks. So I've already done the rest of my makeup because I didn't want this video to be really long. I tried to keep it quite neutral so that any kind of eyeshadow look that I come up with would sort of go with it. But that being said, I did lean a little bit more towards the warmer side of things just because this palette to me does look very warm. And I've also got some Tanya Bear lipstick on. This is in the shade Belgian Truffle. This might have been a limited edition in one of her Christmas gift sets. I'm not sure if you can get it separately, but if you can, I will leave it in the description box below. I've already primed my eyes as well. I used the e.l.f. eyelid primer today, and I've also set that using the Rimmel Stay Matte powder. The packaging on mine is battered because that's just what happens to this powder, isn't it? I don't know anyone who has a powder like this and manages to keep the packaging looking beautiful the entire time they own it. But anyway, back to the eye makeup. It's very difficult just to narrow it down to two looks because I'm quite inspired by all of the shades in here, but I am leaning towards that green colour there. That's actually the reason that I bought this palette, so I think I'm definitely going to be using that green shade at some point. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to start off and make a green look. This side is going to be the daytime side. So I'm going to get a bit of this shade here. This is the base shadow brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to use this. It's very pigmented, by the way. I'm just going to use this on the outer part of my eyes, just with a wash of colour, and build it up a bit more. I actually really like that shade just as a wash of colour. You know, if I was being really lazy, I could probably just keep that as a daytime look, but I am going to build it up a bit. I do want to create a little bit more depth, but I don't want it to be really defined, so I'm going to take just a little bit of the darker brown. This is quite a warm tone brown. I'm just going to kind of feather that in the outer V again, but really focusing it just on the socket line. I don't know if that's what you actually call it, I'm not a makeup artist, but you know what I mean, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just really gently fusing that out. This is the Real Techniques Duo Fiber eye brush, by the way. The matte shades in this palette are really beautiful. They're really pigmented, but they are not like so pigmented that they don't blend out, if you know what I mean. And I'm taking that brush that I was using before and just kind of blending that a bit, especially towards like the outer part of my eye. Just because my eyes are quite small and quite hooded and circular, I always smoke it out quite far to the outer edges of my eyes, even like during the day. That's just what works best for me personally, but obviously you can kind of tailor this to suit your eye shape if you do want to kind of recreate something inspired by whatever I'm doing. And then I'm just going back in with the other brush back on the socket. Next I'm going to dip into some of the really beautiful green shade, just because I'm really excited about that shade and I want to get it on my eyes. And I'm just using the Real Techniques shading brush for that. This is dry, by the way. I haven't sprayed my brush. I think I'm going to put this over the whole lid. Just to kind of define it around the edges, I'm going to take a bit more of that same green colour, but this time I'm using another brush from Real Techniques. I've had this for a while, so the name has kind of rubbed off it, but basically it's one of these concealer type brushes. I really like using these for doing details of eyeshadow because they're quite small and they're completely flat. I'm just going to kind of go around like the edges of the mobile lid. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't really wear green on an everyday basis, and usually I would be exactly the same, but this one is surprisingly easy to wear. I'm just kind of wiping off that green colour from the concealer brush using a cleansing wipe. That's just kind of how I spot clean my brushes. And then using that same brush, I'm just going to dip it into the really soft, beautiful gold colour. So I was just going to put that gold shade on the inner corner originally, and then I've ended up kind of bringing it down as well, and also kind of going onto the inner part of my mobile lid as well. Just because it's such a beautiful shade, I just ended up getting a bit carried away, but I really like how it looks. I don't usually do anything on the lower lash line. I don't think it really suits my eye shape, and also it just kind of ends up running everywhere on me personally. But when I do these kind of videos, I do really want to just get into the habit of doing something on my lower lash line and really bringing the whole eye look together. Today I'm just going to take the Real Techniques smudge brush. That sounds really funny when you say it quickly, doesn't it? Smudge brush, smudge brush. And that's just going back in that brown transition shade that we started with. I'm just going to stamp it right here. It's a really kind of warm brown, so it really complements the green colour. And I think that's it for the eyeshadow. It would be so easy to kind of smoke this out if you did want to wear that green colour during the evening though. I think if you wanted to add a little bit more of that brown, you could get it looking a lot darker and a lot smokier. You could even tap in a little bit of that black if you were feeling very adventurous. I think I'm going to use a brown eyeliner and a brown mascara for the daytime side, and I don't know whether to use like an actual brown eyeliner or whether to just kind of dip my liner brush in that brown colour again. So I think I'll start just by trying it out just with that eyeshadow and seeing if I can make a suitable line just with this. That brown does look really nice just on its own. I think I am just going to add a little bit of the sort of dark colour just there, only a little bit, just to mix it with the brown and make it stand out a little bit more. There we go. And now I'm just going to curl my eyelashes and add a little bit of the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara in the dark brown colour. And that is the daytime side done. So now it's time for the nighttime look, and I'm definitely leaning towards these two colours, that one and that one, which look very, very similar, but they are just a little bit different. That one is a little bit more brown and that one is a little bit more kind of pinky purpley. And there's also this kind of red shade here, which I feel like I should try to incorporate. But to start off with, I think I'm just going to use the same transition colour that I was using the first time and the same base shadow brush just to get that on initially. And because this is the nighttime side, I'm just really building up that same colour, just putting layers and layers on just to make it a little bit more intense. And I do want to add another colour to it just to kind of smoke out that sort of outer crease as well, but I want it to be a little bit more defined than the daytime look. So I'm using this slimmer brush from Crown. I have no idea what the name of it was, but I don't think you can get it anymore anyway. I got this about 1,000,000 years ago and it's still perfectly intact. Now, I don't usually use shimmery colours in the crease, but I think it's perfectly fine to do that. So I'm just going to take a bit of that and just on the outer section, just kind of stamp it on. I really like this colour. I'm going to be wearing this colour quite a lot, I think. I'm also just going to use that same kind of chocolatey brown on that same brush. Add a little bit of that in. I will get another brush and just kind of soften this out in a minute. I'm also just kind of going on the lower lash line with this brush and this matte colour. I'm just going to take a clean-ish brush and just kind of soften that out ever so gently. I'm only using really small motions when I do this, just so I don't lose any of that definition. Then I've got the brush that came with my Urban Decay Naked palette, and I'm just going to take the kind of flat end and dip it into this shade here. Actually no, I'm going to just put something down a little bit first. I'm going to take a little bit of the Stargazer Glitter Fix Gel, even though I've already primed my eyes with the e.l.f. primer. I'm just going to take a little bit on the back of my hand, then dip my brush into it, and then I'm going to put this on the mobile lid, just the inner 2/3, I think. Then I'm going to take that Urban Decay brush Now I can see a little bit of fallout with this one, just because I'm having to pack it on quite a bit to get the intensity that I want, but it's not the end of the world, and I can definitely just kind of sweep that away in a minute. And I can just use the other end of that brush just to kind of blend the edges a little bit more. I feel like I just need a little bit more definition. Like, I do like it just like as one wash of colour, but I do just want a bit more definition. So I'm going to take the same crown brush and I'm going to go in with a little bit more of that brown and maybe a dab of that black, just like that. I'm just gently going to kind of press this on the outer corner and then just blend that back out. I do blend my eyeshadow quite high up, by the way, but that's just because I've got hooded eyes, and if I don't go crazy and smoke out everything I put on, then you won't be able to see what I've done. And I still want to use that really pretty red shade, so I'm going to dip my Real Techniques definer brush in there. I'm just going to place this just underneath the lower lash line. And I'm also going to go on the lower lash line with the crown brush and just using that transition shade. I'm also taking the accent brush from Real Techniques and I'm just dipping that into this kind of peachy shade here. And that's going to go right on the inner corner. This shade takes a little bit of work. It doesn't kind of want to show up at first, but once you build it up, it's worth it. And I can just bring that onto the lid as well. This is definitely a more fiery look than the daytime one. I really like it. I don't usually wear stuff like this, but I really like how it's turning out. The apricot shade looks really nice on top of the more taupe-ish colour as well, actually. I wasn't expecting them to blend together quite so well. I'm just going to clean up the edge a bit with a cotton bud. So that's the nighttime eyeshadow done, but I'm just going to add a few finishing touches. First, I think I'm going to draw on a nice black kind of line, so I'm going to be using the Primark fine liner pen. And I'm a little bit nervous about this because I hardly ever do wing liner, but at least I don't have to get it to match the other one, so that does kind of make me feel a little bit better. I think this is the first time I've worn winged eyeliner in 2018 at all. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised that it looks semi-decent, but I'm going to just set it in place using the black powder and a liner brush before I do something to mess it up. And that just kind of helps me get a little bit more of a sultry kind of smoky effect on the wing as well. That black does have a little bit of fallout to it as well, actually. Yeah, I'll just go over that with concealer at the end. It's not a big deal, it's only makeup. Then I'm just going to curl my eyelashes and add some of the Primark PS Pro Mascara. And just to really finish off the look, I'm going to take the Hema eyeshadow pencil in 701 and I'm just going to put that on the lower kind of waterline. Of course you can just leave it on its own, but for my nighttime look I do just want to add a few little individual false eyelashes. I get extra short ones from eBay just because there's not very much space between my lashes and the start of my eyebrows. There we go, so I don't usually wear too many individual lashes, I just put a few kind of on the outer edge of my eyes. That just kind of extends the eye, kind of makes it look a bit longer and a bit more feline as well, so I think that's a really nice addition to any kind of nighttime look. So those are my daytime and my nighttime looks with the Revolution 24Karat Gold palette. I really hope you enjoyed watching this, and I do happen to own quite an absurd number of eyeshadow palettes as well, so this would kind of be a really good way for me to use them. I'll show you some of the palettes that I'm thinking of doing next actually for another video in this series, and you can let me know in the comments which one you want to see. So I'm thinking of doing the Salted Caramel palette. This is another Revolution chocolate bar palette as well. I remember when I did my declutter video, loads of you mentioned this particular palette in the comments and said that you owned it. So I was thinking of doing this one in a future video. I was also thinking of doing the Urban Decay Naked palette. This is one of the only high-end eyeshadow palettes I own. I only have 2 high-end eyeshadow palettes in my collection. But yeah, I feel like this is a palette that everyone either owns or you probably have a dupe of this in your collection. And just for something that's a little bit more challenging, I was also thinking of doing the Revolution Flawless 4 palette. So I actually bought this last December, and I'll be honest, it felt like a really good idea at the time, but I don't reach for this palette a lot because it is a bit, I guess it's a bit intimidating because there's quite a lot of scary purples in here. So I don't really get a lot of use out of it, which is why I thought that would be a really interesting one to feature in the series as well. But let me know in the comments if there's one that you would be really excited to see. You've all seen my declutter videos and you've all seen my haul videos, so you probably have a good idea of the stuff in my collection by this point anyway. If you're new around here, please validate my existence by subscribing to my channel. I upload new videos every week, sometimes twice if I can get my act together. I'll see you very soon. Bye!